North Korea launches a failed missile test that was just hours before Vice President Pence arrives in South Korea, the first stop on his four-nation tour in Asia. Meantime, President Trump has threatened to deal with North Korea with or without China's help. All of this comes on the heels of the U.S. bombing of ISIS fighters in Afghanistan using the most powerful non-nuclear bomb in the American arsenal. And then there was a series of missile strikes, you'll remember, on a Syrian airbase, and that was in retaliation for a gas attack on civilians. So let's talk about all of this. And for that, we're going to talk to Bruce LeVell as the director of the National Diversity Coalition. And he was an advisor to President Trump during his campaign. And now he is also running, we should point out, for the open congressional seat in Georgia, actually up right by where I live. So welcome. Happy Easter to you.
Thanks for having me. Hope you vote for me, too. And happy Easter to everyone out there. A beautiful day.
We'll see how we go on that one. So the president's been under fire from Congress for not seeking approval for his military actions. Do you think he should have gone to Congress first?
Well, unfortunately, it's like the president said from day one during the campaign, keeping his promises, putting America first, wanting to make sure that we are safe. You know, Martin, we've had a tremendous amount of attacks in the last 8 years, and a lot of attacks across our neighboring countries and allies that we have. And it's a dangerous time right now, and the president has said and is committed to defend the United States by any means necessary.
But if you were in Congress, if you win this seat, would you have wanted him to come to you and say, hey, I'm going to do this first?
It's interesting because, you know, I trust the president. I know him. He's a good man. I trust his leadership, his decision, and General Maddox and his national security team. And at some point, the American people have to realize, Martin, that he is the commander-in-chief in one of the most powerful positions in the free world, and that if he gets intel, like a lot of the citizens don't have, we're not privileged to, we have to trust the fact that our leaders have the best interest of protecting the United States first by any means necessary. So I'm very confident in his leaders, especially in General Maddox and his national security team.
So what about if the president says, look, and he has said this, when it comes to North Korea, if we cannot get China on board or if we cannot get China to do something, we will do it. In other words, he's implying that we're going to just act on our own. Is that wise?
You know, I don't know. I disagree. I think, you know, he had a great meeting with the president of China at Mar-a-Lago. The Chinese, you know, government realizes the imminent danger across the country, as well as just, you know, South Korea, et cetera, in the region. But, you know, one thing about the neighboring a country like China, for example, Martin, if there is no peace, there's no economic growth, there's no movement and commerce across the nation. So in terms of keeping the country and keeping our neighboring allies safe, there has to be, and there will be, a lot of our countries that are friendly to us that want to have great input in terms of making sure that North Korea doesn't pose a threat to the region. So I think, respectfully, the president's working with everyone. I don't believe that he's not working with the Chinese government, but I think he's going to build more and more confidence as he grows into his 100+ days of the presidency. Well, he's going to gain a lot of momentum in his leadership.
You know the president clearly. You were with him, you know, just this past week. When he deals with foreign issues now, it seems that he was always talking about America first. But now he has gone on to these very, well, in the case of Syria, he's actually launched a military attack. Do you see that as getting away from what he originally said, or do you see it part of his message during the campaign?
Well, it gets back to what I said earlier, and you know, it's like the information that he gets is that could propose imminent danger to the United States that we don't hear. He has to act on that. And Martin, like I said before, you know, we've been getting hit several times, over 8 times in this nation as well as overseas. So the information that he gets is he uses the best judgment that he has to his ability to protect the United States by any means necessary.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about this race that's coming up here in Georgia, the 6th District, because it's really being looked upon by many as kind of a national early referendum on the Trump administration. You have a young Democrat who's come forward, seems to be doing very well, John Ossoff, and then you have a number of Republicans, of which you are one. Do you see this as kind of a referendum vote here? Do you think that some people are starting to already weigh in?
No, I disagree, and here's the reason why. It is so unfortunate, Martin, that you have a young man that doesn't live in the district, 30 years old.
This is the Democrat,
right, John Ossoff. Probably couldn't name one shop owner in the district. to accept $8 million in a district where he doesn't live, has no idea what's going on. But most of all, you know, Martin, I was at a candidate forum one night, and I said, you know, they don't care about you. You realize that. And I said, but don't worry, because there are other Republicans who are on the take just like you. All this is what's happening right now. And this is why President Trump was so strong about disavowing PACs and pushing back from special interests. The Republicans and Democrats have been guilty on both sides of the aisle. This is what created this mess. That's why in my candidacy, all during my campaign, I have disavowed PACs, I have pushed back and would not accept any lobby money because it's dangerous to the American people. And this young man doesn't realize that he's actually bought and paid for too, just like some of our Republicans, Martin. They're on the take too.
There are so many Republicans. I mean, that may be one of the problems for the Republicans in this race. There are 11 of them.
Yeah, but there's only one Bruce LeVell.
And that's
that
you.
will
Yeah,
not take the money, or no one owns me. There are Republicans who are bought and paid for. There are Democrats who are bought and paid for.
Do you go to Washington? Will you represent the people in the district, or do you go there to be a supporter of President Trump in Congress?
Well, my whole goal was to run to support the president's initiatives and his agendas, especially the $1 trillion infrastructure. Martin, you've seen what happened with I-85. I am the only candidate that's talking about transportation. You know, I was a former chairman at MARTA.
Just in case folks don't know, that was the fire and collapse of a major highway here in Atlanta.
And, you know, for someone as myself to have that relationship to help the 6th district, that's why I got in the race, because the president's serious about the $1 trillion infrastructure. And you know as well as I do, Georgia, Metro Atlanta has the worst traffic corridor in the nation. So you need a guy like me that can say, you know what, let's fight for tax dollars to come back and alleviate some of this traffic that we got.
All right, well, we have to leave it there. Candidate LeVell, thank you very much for coming in.
Mark.
Happy
Thanks for
Easter
having me.
to you.
Thank you.